everybody, I am back with a video. This is a recording of me making a Sculpey figurine. I'm doing a Wajas figurine, hopefully. I'm just showing here that I have started a base of the figurine. There is a wire armature on the inside which is wrapped in tinfoil. Then I've used white polymer clay to kind of get a base started on it. This is cooked, so it is what it is. There's no changing it. But what I'm going to do in this video is build upon it and just kind of walk you guys through what I'm doing. Hopefully you can learn something or enjoy watching it. I do not claim to be a master at Sculpey. These are actually some pictures of the horses I recently uploaded on Etsy. You can tell they're beginner horses, but they're fun to make. They're very therapeutic, and I hope that with more experience, I can start a Wajas figurine collection for everybody if it's something that you're interested in, or if you like those types of things or collect those types of things. It'll just be a cheaper option, and they're very therapeutic to make, like I said, so hopefully you like them. And if you enjoy this video, definitely let me know. I'm recording above my workstation, which I know isn't ideal, but if you guys like it, I will invest in a tripod so I can get a better angle so you can see better. If you haven't already, please consider commenting, liking, and subscribing to my YouTube channel. The goal is to get to 1K so that I can do the live streams, which I believe comes when you get to 1K. I would really like to do mini games and get to know Wajas staff and other little things like that. So if you help me get there, it'd be pretty sweet. Anyways, so this is my figurine, and I am using a blue clay for the start of the head, and right here I'm just kind of kneading it out, and I want to get a start of the clay on the body. I have found that it's a little difficult to get raw clay to stick to baked clay, so I spend a little bit of time just kind of smearing it on, getting it on, smoothing it out, and in a little bit you'll see me start to add details to it. I just use my hands, to smooth them out. I know some people use gloves. I haven't tried that yet, and maybe that would give a better product, but I'm just using my hands. I'm just very novice at this, I guess. I will say the Sculpey clay is super pretty. This blue kind itself has like sparkles in it, so it's really nice to see in person. There are other different types of polymer products out there. I have not used them. I have only used Sculpey, and I will warn you, they get kind of pricey. One little block of Sculpey is like $2 to $3 depending on where you get it. They also have different types of clay through the Sculpey brand that have varying prices. This is just very generic Sculpey. So my goal is to make a Tempest Waja. So I had recorded just working on the head, and if you guys like this video and you want to see more, I can certainly record myself doing the rest of the figurine. Just kind of wanted to get something started, get it up on YouTube. I apologize, I know I've neglected the channel. I haven't touched it in months. Things have just been kind of crazy. I've been trying to jump around to do a bunch of different things so I don't get burnt out. Sold a bunch of dolls on Etsy. Thank you to those of you who have bought them and who have continued to support my little art hobby thing there. I have a boy that's posted right now in the store that has antlers, which is pretty cool. It was kind of a struggle to figure out how to make it work, but I'm pretty satisfied with it. I think he's really neat. He's very big. He's a big boy. He's a lot of fun. He's super easy to pose. He has a lot of character to him, so definitely check him out if that's something that you're interested in. So here I'm just trying to smooth it out and bulk it up. Ideally you want to use tinfoil or leftover mixed clay for the bulking. Things that aren't terribly expensive. Then save your final nice stuff for the outside that everyone's going to see. That way you're not wasting that expensive clay just to bulk it up, and no one's going to see it anyway. So definitely bulk up with tinfoil and save your nice clay for the outside. Some people do mix polymer clays, so that might be something to consider if you find yourself with other brands that you just aren't using. Which, of course, this is advice I need to use myself because I spent a lot of time bulking it up with my nice clay. Would help though if I had a design in mind ahead of time, which will come with experience. Live and learn, I guess. Learn from my mistakes. Then the next part, after you've done some bulking, I go in and add these eyes. These eyes are glass I'm gonna butcher how to say it, cabochons or something like that. They're online, Amazon. Anyways, not that that's helpful at all, sorry. I hand paint them. These have like a glitter paint, so they're super cute, super pretty. And you just do more bulking, blending them into the head, building them out. Dogs typically have their eyes in the front, so it takes a little bit of manipulation to get those eyes where they need to be. So I spend a bit of time getting those added, getting them in the right spots, making sure they're symmetrical as much as possible. You know, not one too high versus the other, not one further back than the other. So it's a little tricky, but just take your time and you'll get there. Compare each side. Some people will do one little change on the left and then they do the same change on the right and they kind of jump back and forth. That can kind of help keep things consistent as you are making your edits. As always, make sure you smooth things out as you work on them. A lot of people will usually block it all out. Then when they're done, they go back and smooth things out, add the detail, etc. I guess I tend to do things the hard way and just keep things smooth along the way. Not sure if that's the best advice, but there it is. That's what I do. Along the lines of keeping things symmetrical, you may even be able to do both sides at the same time. So here I am trying to add the same size balls above the eyes to help build them up, build out the eyelids and all of that. And then once you get those on, you'll smooth them out and just keep adding and building. It's lots of layers. You will want to constantly move the figure around, turn it around, upside down, compare all the different sides to make sure they are symmetrical. You may need to add clay in some areas, like I'm doing here, to fix the width of the snout. You may need to remove clay in some areas to trim them out. So you just want to look at them from all different angles to make sure it's as symmetrical as possible, and just keep trugging along, pushing away. Here I'm trying to bulk up that head because they do have a brain in the skull, so I want to make sure they're not flat-headed. So I've added more bulking, which ideally would have been done when you were doing tinfoil, but I didn't think ahead. So yeah, that's the skull. And then I'm just smoothing out the snout, getting ready to plan out the expression, or like, you know, the jowls and the nose and all of that. The next part that I enjoy is I use these little rubber tip tools. They're really nice because they're soft. They don't smudge things super easily. They're not harsh. If you've never used Sculpey before, Sculpey is a super, super soft clay. It will practically melt in your hands. So it's nice to have these really soft rubber tipped brushes. And here I'm just trying to smooth out the details, make sure that the clay hasn't covered up too much of the eyes. I want to see that color shine through. So I'm just using the brush to help smooth things out, clean it up, and like I said, spend lots of time smoothing it out because you know, that's really important. You want it nice and smooth because once you cook it, you're kind of stuck with it. You don't want to constantly rebake things, so just take your time and smooth as much as you can now so you don't regret later and have to backtrack. There are some styles where people cover their figurine in fur detail or 3D type fur bits. Those will certainly hide your lines and mistakes, but in the case of this figurine, I plan to leave a lot of those smooth areas exposed. So that's why I'm stressing the importance of taking your time and making it as perfect as you can. You can definitely add more clay once it's baked to maybe clean up some of those mistakes, but I don't know how many times you can recook the figurine. I'd worry about it starting to overheat, which can cause cracking, burning, or worse things. So just be mindful. Eyes are super important in these types of pieces. Most people naturally look to the eyes first when they view these, so if there are any mistakes, they're going to notice them pretty quickly on. As you're working on these, you should always be rotating the piece and looking it all over, seeing if anything is drastically unsymmetrical. There's no rush. It's not a competition on who can complete these faster. It's okay to jump around and redo areas if it needs to be touched up. So here I'm just going back and forth constantly, cleaning up my lines and making sure it's exactly as I want it. I want to make sure that color is showing through, like I said. I think that's just such a strong, important focus point to these pieces. So I really want to make sure that those eyes show through and they're symmetrical, and kind of sounding like a broken record here, but make sure it's symmetrical and then it's smooth. The next few moments I spend time cleaning things up and bulking out the figurine more. So here's a slight detour of the voiceover. I hope you guys have been enjoying our Halloween event over on Wajas.com. Staff put a lot of time into it, and Sadie has been a huge proponent on restoring the trick-or-treat feature. I believe the event ends on the 1st, so you still have some time to get in there if you haven't already been playing. There's lots of new items and lots of re-releases of past items. If you're going out tonight, be very careful, wear your mask and social distance, get lots of candy, try not to get into a sugar coma. I myself am tempted to go to the store and get something tasty. I'm too old to go trick-or-treating, though I'm not sure how many people are participating this year, but whatever you do, I hope you have fun and are able to celebrate Halloween as safely as you can this year. Okay, so this point in the video, I am planning out the ears. I want to first make sure I have 2 balls that are roughly the same size. I tear off pieces and I roll them in my fingers to compare, remove bits if needed or add bits if needed. Then I go in, I flatten them, I start to shape them. They're essentially a triangle shape. And I take my little rubber tool and I start to indent in the center. It's like another smaller triangle. It's just simple enough to call it triangles, I guess. I shape them out, smooth them out, and then I will be sticking them on. And the nice thing about this clay, it's very sticky, so it doesn't take a whole lot to add them on and blend them in. I do like to go in though at the end and blend them out more and make sure they're blended all around. Just you get a better hold that way. Some people don't. I prefer to. And I also like to put a little bend to the tip of the ear. Just something I personally find to be really cute. So most of my canine dogs will likely have ears. Canine dogs. Most of my sculpture dogs will have ears like that. Rinse, repeat. Do the same for the other ear. Shape it out, stick it on, smooth it in. And then once you get both the ears on, I strongly recommend going and trying to smooth out all the different breakage between the 2 pieces, the creases. I don't really know what you call them, but I like to make sure that it sits on the head and is smoothed in so it looks like it's a part of the head versus just sitting on top. I think that's going to give you a more sturdy, durable piece versus just having it stuck there, because if you drop it, that ear is going to pop right off. And I mean, you don't want to drop polymer stuff anyways, because once it's cooked, it's very brittle, and if you drop it, it's going to shatter. But I try to do the stuff I can to make it more durable. Yeah, I'm rambling on that. Just smooth out your edges and make sure everything is nicely combined or attached, I guess. That might mean you need to add more clay to help blend out those lines. So you just watched me add a big chunk of clay between the ears and the back of the head. That will make it a little easier to blend things in. It's also more bulking. There isn't much more to say at this point. I just use a rubber tool to blend in everything I can. So we'll cue the music. The next part I start to focus on is the fur detailing. It's honestly probably too soon to be working on these. I should have continued with the rest of the body, but oh well, here we are. I like to have little fur bits behind the ears, so I start off in that area. I take smaller balls of clay, roll them in between my fingers, and shape them into little S's. I then gently stick them on and try to encourage them to stand up, while also blending them out so they become one with the figurine. I then use the same rubber tool to add in some detailing lines for those fur areas. I learned the hard way that you really want to use rubber tips for this part. Harder metal tools are more likely to pull clumps of clay, or at least that's what's happened in my experience. Maybe I'm not using the tools correctly, but I definitely recommend using rubber tools for this part. Using that same technique, I add more fur details in front of those ears, which will also help blend them in so they hold better. Then I go in and I start gently smudging in the fur and blending it all out and just cleaning it up as I go. Around this time, I realized I didn't like the amount of space between the eyes, so I gently nudged them in deeper. Then it took a bit of work with the rubber tool and smudging to clean it back up. I turned the figurine around a bunch of ways to make sure I'm content with how it looks now that I've made those changes. After I'm happy with that, I go back and add the little fur bits around the cheeks. I am ready to add his jowls and chin. I made 3 little balls that are roughly the same size, and I'm just gently pressing them in and placing them. Then as I feel better about where they are, I start to smooth them in and blend them out. This is actually how I do faces for my dolls as well. And I apologize if there's a lot of background noise. My toddler is here and she does not know the meaning of be quiet, right? Then I take my rubber tool and attempt to add an expression that is symmetrical on both sides. Probably the hardest parts. I never seem to make them exactly the same on both sides. I end up having to go in and rub one side off and redraw it to get it a little bit closer. The last part of this video is me trying to smooth out the neck and blend everything out that's on the base. Still a long way to go, but like I said earlier, I wanted to get something started and up on YouTube for you all. I kind of like how this one is turning out so far. Hopefully it continues to go that way. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from this video. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I do appreciate the support. Until next time, stay happy, safe, and sane.